I want to share with you some of the worst depreciating vehicles on the market today. People that bought these brand new vehicles are suffering some serious tragic depreciation. So before we get into that list, be sure to hit that subscribe button and notification bell if you love this type of content, big lists, and fun and frivolity around cars. Let's get into it now.
Life's too short to drive boring cars.
So the first one on our list is a car just like this. Well, not exactly. This one here is the Audi A4, and of course it comes in sedan form like this. This comes with a couple of different drivetrains as well, but what we're talking about, it's his big brother, the Audi A6, which also has a very generic look, 4 doors and a trunk because it's a sedan. The A5 is the hotter version, 2-door, looks much sharper, but the A6 is very similar to this, just slightly larger. Comes with a couple of drivetrains, has the hybrid assist, of course, or light hybrid, but specifically we're talking about engines, the 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine, the TFSI, which coincidentally has the fancy and patented oil burning technology. So if you're going to buy an A6 with the 4-cylinder engine, make sure you up on and double down on your stock prices for oil and gas. But you also do get an optional 3-liter V6 engine turbocharged that makes about 335 horsepower. They both come equipped with a 7-speed automatic transmission, so they have all the numbers. They're competitive with BMW in terms of the power that they output, the performance. They've never handled as well as BMW, and unfortunately the A6 is just that spot in the whole lineup that nobody really wants them on the used car market. It's those people that can get into an entry-level luxury vehicle. That's why they sell in the first place, and that's why that niche exists. The used car buyer is not looking for that type of vehicle, hence the depreciation just hammers these vehicles. And as a result, you can expect 56.3% depreciation in 5 years, and you'll lose about $38,252. That is absolutely devastating. Would you believe people actually spend $12,000 a year for the next 5 years just to drive something that looks or resembles a hearse or a funeral home director's machine? Yes, they come at a significant cost, and that cost is depreciation as well as durability. We know that the Cadillacs have had some issues. Of course, we know some of the engine issues that are shared with the GM products, lifter problems. We also know that door handles like this have been known to rip off, infotainment issues. Of course, a lot of body hardware that can fail. This here too, very weak and flimsy. Now they do have a unique look. If you want to have that style and the design, you have nowhere else to go but to go to a Cadillac Escalade like this right here. Of course, they do come with a big towing capacity, vertical door, so you can fit a lot of capacity. Of course, you can put 3rd row, 2nd row, 1st row. They're living in the lap of luxury like a couple of major oil tycoons. But that 6.2-liter V8 under the hood has been known for a host of issues. So has the transmission in some cases. Now, these vehicles do have the potential to last a long time. They're a body on a steel frame, of course, with a big V8 that turns slowly. If you get some of those vehicles that avoid some of the issues, then you're gonna have a vehicle that lasts a long time, but it falls off a literal cliff in terms of depreciation. It's a domestic product. It's likely not as complex as you're finding in some of the Euro brand vehicles, and you're going to get a vehicle that's highly discounted. Buy it at 3 years, 4 years, maybe 5 years of age, and you're getting a major discount. The Cadillac Escalade, definitely brutal for the first owner, amazing for the second. And the next one here is another Audi, as we see right here. Quite clearly a very long and large and in charge SUV, but quite frankly, that's part of its downfall. While it ranks very highly by a lot of critics, it offers great performance, and for a vehicle of this particular size, it actually handles superbly well. I mean, it does look a lot like a wagon more than it does an SUV, but we're talking about the Audi Q7 right here. But unfortunately, the 261 horsepower Turbo 4 with the oil burning technology is also found under the hood, and that's why I would opt out of this. But this could represent a great deal on the used car market because it depreciates so heavily. I would suggest going up to the 335 horsepower turbocharged 3-liter V6 for the best performance. It handles well. This actually gives you a 3rd row, so a lot of people love this when they buy them new. But who's buying these secondhand? What you're getting is a young buyer looking at this vehicle and saying, that looks too much like Auntie's station wagon. And so because it's a tough seller on the used car market, depreciation takes a nosedive. And as a result, this vehicle here will lose 56.8% of its value in 5 short years, and you'll lose about $41,731. So could you imagine taking a bundle of $100 bills? That's right, that's $10,000 and lighting it on fire. That's happening every single year for the first 5 years of owning one of these Audi Q7s. Why would anybody possibly do that? The benefit is to you as the used car buyer, if you get yourself a certified pre-owned warranty added onto this, negotiated in, you can get yourself a smashing deal of a beautiful vehicle that costs mega dollars. So in the 5-year time frame that the average Audi A7 was bending over grabbing their pant legs, they were losing about 57.2% of the value of this vehicle, and they were losing about as much as $48,917 in total. So right here, while we're looking at the S7, this is a better version that holds a little better value because it's the sport tuned. You get 444 horsepower in this. The RS7 is even better yet. You get well over 600 ponies, and those are the true sport vehicles. But even the Audi A7 in its base form is a fun, frivolous little vehicle with a double clutch gearbox, 7-speed, and as well, it pumps out a whopping 335 horsepower, about 369 pound-feet of torque as well, wrapped up under that hood, and it actually scoots this vehicle around very nicely. It comes coupled up with the Quattro all-wheel drive system, has all the safety nannies from lane assist, as well as dancing LEDs on the taillights. The A7 is clearly one of the flagship vehicles for Audi, and they do have that interesting fastback look, of course, with a wing that retracts at speed. Now the A7, S7, RS7s also come featured with real exhaust tips like you see down there, which is a dying breed in today's car market where everybody seems to be going with those plastic inserts and a fake little pea shooter exhaust out the bottom. So while buying one of these vehicles represents a catastrophic financial disaster, buying one slightly used with a slight extended warranty and a great service history could represent one of the best deals on the luxury car segment today. And here's the next one in line. That's one of the worst depreciating vehicles, and it's really no surprise with the British engineering and now owned by Tata Motors, an Indian company. A lot of people get scared from the used products. Sure, they're great with the incentives when they're brand new, great lease rates, great finance rates, 1.9%, 2.9% loyalty rates, incentives everywhere. Everybody wants to get on board when they're new. But when they're used, that's when it gets real. CPO warranty or no go for a car like this, in general speak. Now, of course, the XF is slightly larger brother to the smaller vehicles like the XEs, as we're noticing right here. There's a few right here, but 57.6% is gone in the first 5 years. $39,720, poof, up in smoke. And quite honestly, as an owner of a Jaguar F-Type R, myself, I can attest, these cars aren't nearly as unreliable as a lot of people make them out to be. These are actually relatively durable. Now, the only unfortunate part is they've shed some of the older, more powerful engines, and now all you can get for this latest generation is a turbocharged 4-cylinder that gives you either 246 horsepower or about 296 horsepower. You can get a couple different states of tune, P250 or the P300, and basically it does give you all the local amenities. And with 0 to 60 in around that 6.2 seconds in the P300, the vehicle is peppy. Unfortunately, some of the competition that it has now is too strong and too stiff. People are looking for better value, something more modern. We all know that they're giving up the ghost for internal combustion engines, and they're trying to put all their dollars into the electrification market, and that leaves vehicles like this literally orphaned. Now, if you're one of those people that want something unique, European, and you just want to resist the EV and you want to go something ICE, this might be a great bet. The reliability isn't terrible. I mean, you do get some squeaks and rattles in there. There are cases of the odd vehicle just shutting off or stalling. Heads-up display has been a glitchy issue as well. And get a few of those issues behind you, and the rest of the vehicle actually runs very well, reliable, and you can get a ton of miles. Good for 250,000 miles out of one of these vehicles. And I can list a whole pile of this car's competition that I would pick after the Jaguar XF. And here's next, the Maserati Levante is one that's not as competitive in today's market. There's a lot of strong competition. This interior space is a little bit low, as well as the overall durability or reputation of that seems to suffer a little bit. Now, it's not that bad, and these vehicles are actually more durable and more reliable than a lot of people give them credit for. But unfortunately, a lot of the big players and the critics that give rank reliability say they're always the bottom of the barrel, when in fact the only real issue that you find from time to time are more electrical related. Low battery voltage causes gremlins. Stop-start system has been known to be problematic. Of course, suspension related electrics can be a problem, and a lot of other nickel and dime items. Unfortunately, it's the Maserati, which is associated by Ferrari, so it's not necessarily nickel and dime, but it's not the most unreliable vehicle around. Actually quite nice, to be honest. And if you're looking for a great hot SUV in today's market with the Italian flair and pizzazz, the Maserati Levante like this, and all of its great little pitchforks like that, beautiful LED taillights, Levante right there. You get a beautiful rear splitter, and you actually get quad tips on there, which is rare. Beautiful overhang, with these beautiful vents on top. One touch accent in, absolutely gorgeous interior on this vehicle. Now it's a bit of a Pep Boy style design, but people like that. Beautiful high gloss rims with red calipers tidying behind there, and a very aggressive front chin spoiler with the big forks right there. Now in 5 years, you'll lose about 57.8% on these vehicles, or about $55,858 is gone. So again, another vehicle you're gonna likely lose about $11,000 on average over the next 5 years if you're buying it new. If you're buying it used, maybe you talk to the dealers. They're always willing to talk and negotiate. You might be able to get some extra CPO warranty put on that. Maybe the previous owner is just trying to unload it because he can't get a good trade-in value for his next vehicle. This might be an opportunity to get into a hot Italian sporting SUV. Now the next vehicle right here depreciates like you threw a rock out in the middle of the ocean and it sank right down to the bottom of Marianas Trench. This is one of their more reliable vehicles by Infiniti, and Nissan Infiniti generally has a lot of problematic vehicles, but this with a torque converter automatic transmission, a big powerful thirsty V8 engine, and a big wallowy body means it's not going to handle. Of course, the back end of this thing looks like the back end of a barn. It's absolutely ginormous. Not the most attractive vehicle, but it serves a utility purpose. It absolutely has massive towing capability, space. There's third row here for the kidlings. Lots of fun and frivolity can be had up front by the adults in your life. Of course, here you have LED headlights, and of course this infamous grille that you see by Infiniti. So it's a little bit of a dated platform, if we're being honest, and 2011 says so. There's way more products out there now that in this competition, in this space, that a lot of people would rather have. That's why you don't see a lot of these anymore, and they're really running out of steam. It's time for Nissan and Infiniti to change that up. But as a result, the used car sector is brutal on these vehicles. They don't sell particularly well. They're heavy on fuel, and at a time when people need something more economical, and the transition through electrification means vehicles like this just are more and more and more obsolete every day. But because of all this financial brutality, 58.1% is gone in the first 5 years, and $47,399 has all but evaporated into smoke before your very eyes in 5 years. That's right, that's almost 10 grand per year. Again, a stack of hundreds every single year burning up, lighting up while you're roasting marshmallows does not seem the best use of your hard-earned dollars. And this BMW is one of the worst depreciating vehicles on the market today as well. BMW has suffered a little bit of a reputation damage, but this modern day BMW X5 is one of the more reliable vehicles. They got rid of some of their older, outgoing, less reliable vehicles, but this one here clearly has some beautiful headlights. Love the revised front grille with that matte finish right there. Looks gorgeous. Of course, you do get all kinds of vents and gaping detail on the front. Looks great. Along the side, it's absolutely beautiful vehicle. Love all these details here. Look, single access in. Obviously, it's a big vehicle, but it's considered their mid-size SUV. You do get this beautiful revised LED taillight. This is the X5 that we're talking, and the X-Drive 40i. That means it carries the B58. That's their turbocharged 3-liter 6-cylinder engine, and that's the engine of choice that I would buy in my X5. It couples up to the ZF 8-speed auto, absolutely bulletproof. But some of these come with a third row, and unfortunately when you do that, you can get the optional upgraded self-leveling system. It's the airbags in the back end here that are prone for failure. $2,000–$3,000 per visit. They usually last 60–70,000 miles, and you're doing that a few times in a lifetime. Go with the B40 and skip on the X550, which would of course feature the twin turbo V8. You don't want that for reliability, but you can get into a great vehicle like this for relatively decent money on the used car market, because the first person who bought this took it like that. And because in the first 5 years, 58.2% of the value is gone, or about $44,828. Yes, that's a pretty damaging blow for depreciation on this vehicle. And that's why if you get one of these with a CPO, remember, Consumers Reports now ranks BMW higher than Honda. They've escalated up the ranks because of two major engines. The B58 that you would find in this one, the 40 series, or the B48, which is the turbo 2-liter with 250 and change power you find in the smaller vehicles. Their 4- and 6-cylinder engines have literally brought BMW back up the ranks. Now they do fail, there are issues. They still use the snap together fittings. You can still get coolant leaks, oil leaks. Some of those things can happen, but they've improved on fueling, bottom end of the engine system, heat encapsulation. There's a lot of components in this engine now that have gone in the way to improve reliability. For example, even mechanical water pump, done away with the old electrical unit. this is now a somewhat reliable vehicle in terms of what a luxury car can actually provide. So if you're looking at getting in one of these, definitely look at the depreciation curve, but after 5 years, warranty's gone. See if you can get yourself a low mileage version with extended warranty, and you can have that vehicle for years to come. And cars like this, $37,975 can be lost in the first 5 years, or about 58.8% of this value is gone up in smoke in the first 5. And it's not because it's a horribly unreliable vehicle. Although BMW has had some struggles, the 5 Series represents a good mid-range vehicle, and they reach out to the vast majority of the buyers. They have some of the luxury, the performance, the right size just to satisfy all the modern buyers. But they're very expensive brand new, so very few people can afford these vehicles new. You do get great drivetrains here, kidney style grills, angel eye headlights, great alloys here. There's always markers here, whether depending on the generation. This one's slightly older, of course. Two-tone handles, small sunroof on there, as well as the best iDrive system or the infotainment system on the business. Most used buyers don't have the money to ante up to buy one of these slightly used, or if they do, they can't afford a lot of times the money it costs to get into one of these. So it's a bit of a gap, a market space that a lot of people just can't get into a 5 Series car because it's premium when they're brand new. That's why they take such a hit. There's so much technology, but the older generations in some of the 5 Series didn't have the best reputation for reliability, and that's why overall that nasty reliability has hung on for year after year. That's why prices on the used car market are low, and depreciation is devastating. Now, unfortunately, another hot Italian number here. We're talking about the Maserati Ghibli. Does not have really necessarily the best reputation. Unfortunately, it shares a lot of Chrysler parts, interior, switches, buttons, controls, and that does not inspire a lot of dazzle. A lot of people aren't that excited about it. Although it's a great sounding vehicle, it performs well, and it's very competitive in its space, you can expect to lose about 61.3% of its value, or about $58,623 is gone. So while the first owner bends over and takes it like a champ, the second owner can get a lot of car in the Italian flair for pennies on the buck. And the next car with one of the most brutal depreciations of all kind, of about 61.8% in 5 years, you can actually expect to lose $72,444 on average when you buy a 7 Series BMW like this. Now, this is clearly one of BMW's flagship cars. It has the big headlights with the laser LEDs, of course, the big bold grille right here, laser cut rims, nice fold-away mirrors. Although BMW always puts on little sunroofs. I don't know why everybody else does the big panoramic and BMW keeps it kind of simple. They do get the LED taillights, and this is a 750, which means this is the one you definitely don't want to get. That's the twin turbo V8. While it's potent as sin, it is literally one of the worst vehicles for maintenance, cost of servicing, as well as catastrophic failures. Early N63 engines were a twin turbo hot V, meant the hot V cooked parts. The valve guide seals would leak. You'd wind up oil consumption, battery draw, timing chain issues on some of these vehicles, and just a massive onslaught of maintenance costs. That's why these vehicles have that type of reputation. If you need to have a 7 Series, take it from me, go with the 740. Otherwise, I would walk away from that model altogether just because there's way too much tech going on. 740, the B58, at least it keeps it somewhat reliable. You do get the wonderful ZF 8-speed automatic transmission, which is also bulletproof, but it's these vehicles here with all the technology and high cost of servicing and the massive depreciation, because it is their premium model. It will fall off a cliff in terms of value. Nobody wants these on the used car market. And that's why if you go with the B58, the 740 instead of the 750, you can actually get yourself a smoking deal. Just make sure you got a little extra warranty, see those service papers, and make sure it all checks out. And the last one is a brutal loser. Do you remember in junior high school where you got kicked into junk by that girl because you said something that she didn't like? Well, that's a lot like buying one of these cars, because as a matter of fact, in a 5-year time frame, you're likely to lose about 64.5% of its value in 5 years, which equates to $90,588 for the Maserati Quattroporte. Beautiful car, sounds like a Ferrari, goes like stink, but ouch. And with all of that said, be sure to check that video. You're gonna like it. That's on the other flip side. That's some of the cars that you definitely wanna buy new because they just don't depreciate. Hope to see each and every one of you on the next one. We'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.